Perspective shapes reality in profound ways, influencing how we experience and interpret the world around us. The way we see a situation can determine whether we feel empowered or defeated, hopeful or discouraged. Two people can face the exact same circumstance, but their outlook will dictate their experience. The truth is, what we focus on tends to grow in our lives. When we fixate on the negatives, the difficulties, or the impossibilities, they begin to dominate our thoughts and emotions. On the other hand, when we choose to focus on opportunities, solutions, and the bigger picture, our perspective shifts, and so does our reality. Life is full of moments where our current circumstances seem overwhelming. The bills are piling up, the diagnosis is unfavorable, or the dream seems out of reach. It's easy to let those challenges take center stage, overshadowing everything else. But have you noticed that when you step back and take a broader view, the situation begins to look different? It's not that the challenge disappears, it's that your perception changes. Instead of being consumed by what's wrong, you start to see what's possible. You begin to realize that the valley you're walking through is temporary and that there's something greater on the other side. Imagine standing in a forest, surrounded by towering trees. From that vantage point, all you can see are the obstacles, the thick trunks, the tangled roots, the dense undergrowth. It feels like there's no way out. But if you were to rise above, perhaps in a plain or on a mountaintop, you'd see the whole forest and realize there's a clear path leading to open fields. The forest didn't change, but your perspective did. That's the power of stepping back and seeing from a distance. Our minds are incredibly powerful. They had the ability to magnify problems or to magnify possibilities. The choice is ours. Have you ever noticed how a small issue can feel enormous when you dwell on it? A minor disagreement can snowball into a major conflict simply because you replay it over and over in your mind. On the other hand, when you choose to focus on what's good and what's working, even in the midst of challenges, it's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see the way forward. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending that problems don't exist. It's about choosing where to place your focus. There's a story of two men in prison, both looking out through the same bars. One sees mud, the other sees stars. They're in the same place, facing the same reality, but their perspectives couldn't be more different. One sees despair, the other sees hope. What they focus on determines their emotional state, their mindset, and ultimately their reality. When you shift your perspective, you open the door to new possibilities. What once seemed impossible begins to feel attainable. Obstacles that felt insurmountable start to look like opportunities for growth. It's like looking through a lens. When you adjust the focus, everything becomes clearer. This is why it's so important to guard your thoughts and be intentional about how you see your circumstances. You may not be able to control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. There's a story in the Bible about the Israelites sending spies to scout the Promised Land. 12 spies went in, and they all saw the same land, the same opportunities, and the same challenges, but their perspectives were vastly different. 10 of them came back saying, "The land is beautiful, but the people are giants and will never defeat them." They were overwhelmed by fear and doubt. The other two, Joshua and Caleb, saw the same giants but had a different perspective. They said, "Yes, the people are strong, but we can overcome them because God is with us." Their faith shaped their reality. While the 10 spies were paralyzed by fear, Joshua and Caleb were filled with hope and determination. The same principle applies in our lives. How we see a situation often determines the outcome. If we see only obstacles, we'll be hesitant to move forward. But if we see opportunities, even in the midst of challenges, we'll find the courage to take the next step. Perspective isn't just about what's in front of you, it's about what's within you. When you cultivate a mindset of faith, gratitude, and possibility, you'll start to see the world through a different lens. This shift in perspective doesn't happen automatically. It's a choice you make every day. It's about training your mind to focus on what's right rather than what's wrong, on what you have rather than what you lack, on where you're going rather than where you've been. It's about trusting that there's a bigger plan at work, even when you can't see all the details. You may not be able to change your circumstances immediately, but you can change how you see them. And when you change how you see them, you change how you approach them. That shift in approach can lead to breakthroughs you never thought possible. It's not about denying the challenges, it's about recognizing that they're part of a larger journey. And if this brings you closer to the Lord, then that's what He wants. When you look at life from this perspective, you'll realize that every difficulty is an opportunity in disguise. Every setback is a setup for a comeback, and every closed door is a redirection to something greater. When you learn to see beyond the immediate and trust in what lies ahead, you'll find strength you didn't know you had, and your reality will begin to align with your faith. What you focus on grows, and when you focus on the possibilities, the challenges will start to shrink in comparison. Faith looks beyond the present, enabling us to see possibilities even when the current circumstances seem bleak. It's easy to get trapped in what we're facing today: financial challenges, health issues, broken relationships, or unfulfilled dreams. The weight of these struggles can feel so heavy that they overshadow any hope for the future. But faith is what lifts our eyes from the here and now to what lies ahead. It's the confidence that things will work out even when there's no physical evidence to support that belief. When we walk by faith, we acknowledge that life is more than what we can see, touch, or measure. Faith is trusting that there's a purpose behind every challenge, even when we can't yet see how it fits into the bigger picture. It's like planting a seed in the ground. At first, there's no sign of growth, no indication that anything is happening beneath the soil. But with patience and trust, that seed eventually breaks through, growing into something far greater than what we started with. Faith isn't blind optimism or wishful thinking. It's a deliberate choice to believe in what's unseen. It's about holding on to the promise of what could be rather than being confined by what is. Think about a builder constructing a house. They don't focus on the empty plot of land or the piles of materials scattered around. They focus on the blueprint, the vision of what the house will become. Faith works the same way. It allows you to see the potential even when all you have in front of you are the raw materials of a breakthrough. Throughout history, faith has driven people to achieve the impossible. The great innovators, leaders, and dreamers didn't let the limitations of their present reality define their future. They looked beyond what was in front of them and saw a world of possibilities. Thomas Edison, for instance, failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Each failure was an opportunity to refine his approach because he believed in the unseen potential of his idea. Without faith in what lay ahead, he might have given up long before the breakthrough came. Faith is also what allows us to endure the waiting. Sometimes the hardest part of life isn't the challenges themselves, but the patience required to see them through. It's in those moments of uncertainty that faith becomes our anchor. When the outcome is unclear, faith reminds us that the story isn't over. It whispers to us that better days are ahead and encourages us to keep moving forward even when the path is uncertain. One of the most profound examples of faith, looking beyond the present, is found in the story of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph faced incredible hardships, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned. If he had focused solely on his circumstances, he might have given in to despair. But Joseph held on to his faith, trusting that God had a greater plan for his life. Years later, he rose to a position of great authority, saving an entire nation during a time of famine. His faith allowed him to see beyond the prison walls to the promise of what was to come. In our own lives, faith is what helps us keep going when we feel like giving up. It's what enables us to dream big even when we're surrounded by small beginnings. Faith sees a thriving business in the midst of a struggling startup. Faith sees healing even when the diagnosis seems dire. Faith sees restoration even when a relationship feels broken beyond repair. It doesn't deny the reality of the present. It simply chooses to believe that the future holds something greater. When you operate in faith, you're not just reacting to life, you're shaping it. Faith has a way of opening doors that seemed locked and creating opportunities where none existed. It shifts your mindset from I can't to I can, from it's impossible to with God all things are possible. This shift isn't just motivational, it's transformational. When you believe that good things are ahead, you start to act in ways that align with that belief. You take steps forward, even if they're small, because you trust that those steps are leading you to somewhere meaningful. Faith also changes the way you see obstacles. Instead of viewing them as permanent barriers, you begin to see them as temporary detours. A closed door isn't the end, it's a redirection. A failure isn't final, it's a lesson. When you have faith, you start to understand that every setback is setting you up for a comeback. It gives you the resilience to keep going even when the journey gets tough. The beauty of faith is that it doesn't require you to have all the answers. You don't need to know exactly how things will work out, you just need to believe that they will. It's about taking the first step, even when the entire path isn't visible. Think of walking through fog. You may not be able to see more than a few feet ahead, but as you take each step, the way forward becomes clearer. Faith works the same way. It gives you the courage to move forward, trusting that the next step will be revealed in time. Living with faith isn't always easy, especially when the present feels overwhelming, but it's in those moments of doubt and difficulty that faith shines the brightest. It reminds us that the pain of today is temporary, that the struggles we face are preparing us for something greater. Faith doesn't just look beyond the present, it carries us through it. It gives us the strength to keep going, the hope to keep believing, and the courage to keep dreaming, even when the future feels uncertain. Challenges are temporary, no matter how overwhelming they may feel in the moment. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's easy to feel stuck when things aren't going the way we plan. But just because we face difficulties today doesn't mean they'll last forever. Challenges are part of the journey, not the destination. They are moments in time, not a permanent condition. So the important thing in all of this is, it's not, when you understand this, you can face any obstacle with courage, knowing that it's just a chapter in your story, not the whole book. When we're in the middle of a struggle, it can feel like it's going to last forever. The weight of a problem can seem so heavy that it clouds our vision of the future. But think about the seasons of the year. No matter how harsh the winter, it always gives way to spring. The snow melts, the flowers bloom, and life begins to feel warm and hopeful again. Challenges in life work the same way. They may linger for a season, but they are never permanent. Just as the earth turns and the seasons change, your life will shift too. Many people let temporary setbacks convince them that their future is bleak. They assume that because things are difficult now, they'll always be difficult. But that's not true. A storm may rage for a while, but eventually the sky's clear. A night of weeping might feel endless, but joy comes in the morning. The key is to remind yourself that this moment, no matter how hard, is not the end of the story. It's just a passing phase. Think about a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. During its time in the cocoon, it goes through a dark, confined, and difficult process. From the outside, it might seem like nothing good is happening, but inside, a transformation is taking place. When the time is right, the cocoon opens and the butterfly emerges, free to soar. The same is true for our challenges. What feels like confinement or difficulty is often the process that prepares us for something greater. When we focus on the temporary nature of challenges, we can approach them with a different mindset. Instead of feeling defeated, we can feel determined. Instead of giving up, we can press forward, knowing that brighter days are ahead. Challenges aren't here to stay. They're here to teach us, to strengthen us, and to help us grow. Every difficulty you face is an opportunity to learn something new about yourself, to develop resilience, and to prepare for the next chapter of your life. It's important to remember that some of the most successful and fulfilled people in the world faced significant challenges. They didn't let those challenges define them, they let them refine them. Oprah Winfrey faced rejection and hardship early in her career. She could have let those moments convince her that she wasn't good enough. Instead, she pushed forward, believing that her challenges were temporary. Today, she's one of the most influential figures in the world. Her story is a testament to the fact that what feels like an ending can actually be a new beginning. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Tara. Challenges also have a way of revealing strengths we didn't know we had. When life is easy, it's simple to coast along without stretching ourselves. But when we're faced with difficulties, we're forced to dig deep, to find inner reserves of courage, creativity, and perseverance. Think about a muscle being strengthened. It doesn't grow during comfort, it grows during resistance. In the same way, the challenges you face are stretching and strengthening you for what's ahead. Even though challenges are temporary, they can leave a lasting impact in a positive way. They can build character, deepen empathy, and increase gratitude. When you've walked through a difficult season and come out on the other side, you're better equipped to help others who are going through similar struggles. You become a source of strength and encouragement, showing them that they too can overcome. Sometimes, challenges are not just a test but a transition. They push us out of our comfort zones and into new opportunities. Think about a bird in a nest. The mother bird eventually nudges her young out of the nest, forcing them to spread their wings and learn to fly. To the baby bird, that moment might feel terrifying, but it's necessary for their growth. Similarly, challenges can feel like we're being pushed into the unknown, but often they're the very thing that propels us into our purpose. It's also important to trust that challenges serve a purpose. They may not make sense in the moment, but looking back, you'll often see how they played a crucial role in your journey. The closed doors, the delays, and the detours may have felt frustrating at the time, but they were setting you up for something greater. Sometimes the greatest blessings come after the greatest challenges. Challenges don't define you, your response to them does. You have the choice to let them make you bitter or better. You can let them weigh you down, or you can use them as a stepping stone to rise higher. Remember, no storm lasts forever, no night is without a morning, and no valley is without a mountaintop. Keep moving forward, and you'll find that the very challenges you thought would break you will end up being the ones that make you stronger. God has already lined up the future even when we can't see it yet. Life is often filled with uncertainty, and it's natural to wonder how things will work out. The job you're waiting for, the relationship you're longing for, or the healing you desperately need can feel like distant possibilities. But the truth is, Nothing catches God by surprise. He's not figuring it out as you go along. The path ahead of you has already been prepared, and every step, every detail has been carefully arranged with your best interest in mind. And this fact alone, and when you face challenges, it's easy to think that things are out of control, but they're not. God is always in control, orchestrating events in ways you may not understand in the moment. He sees the end from the beginning, and He knows exactly how everything will come together. It's like watching a skilled artist work on a canvas. Up close, the brushstrokes might seem random or chaotic, but when the painting is complete, you see the masterpiece. Your life is that masterpiece, and God is the artist. Sometimes we get frustrated because we want to know every detail of the plan. We want to see the full picture before we take the next step. But that's not how faith works. Faith is trusting that the one who holds the future has already worked it all out. Think of a GPS system. You may not see the entire route at once, but as long as you follow the directions step by step, you'll reach your destination. God's guidance works the same way. He reveals what you need to know, when you need to know it, and He's always one step ahead, ensuring you're on the right path. So, there are moments in life when doors close and it feels like an opportunity has been lost. But those closed doors are often part of God's plan. They're not meant to harm you. They're meant to protect you or redirect you. You might not understand why something didn't work out, but later you'll see that it was for your benefit. Perhaps you didn't get the job because a better opportunity was waiting for you. Perhaps a relationship ended because it wasn't leading you to your purpose. Trust that God's no is always a setup for His yes. God doesn't just line up the big moments. He's also in the details. The right people, the right timing, the right resources, they're all part of His plan. Think about a farmer planting seeds. The farmer prepares the soil, plants the seeds, and waters them. But the growth happens in a way the farmer can't see or control. The same is true in your life. You may not see how things are coming together, but God is behind the scenes, aligning everything perfectly. When you look back on your life, you'll likely see moments where things worked out in ways you couldn't have planned. The right person showed up at the right time, or an opportunity came when you least expected it. That wasn't a coincidence. It was God's hand at work. Even the challenges you faced were part of the preparation for what's ahead. The delays, the detours, and the difficulties weren't wasted. They were shaping you, building your character, and positioning you for the blessings He's already prepared. It's important to remember that God's timing is different from ours. We often want things to happen immediately, but God works on a different schedule. His timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't align with our plans. There's a reason for the waiting. During those seasons, God is not only preparing the future for you, but He's also preparing you for the future. He's strengthening your faith, teaching you patience, and helping you grow into the person you need to be to handle the blessings He has in store. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. You've prayed, you've worked hard, and you've done everything you can, but there's no visible progress. Those are the moments to trust that God is still at work, even if you can't see it. A seed doesn't sprout overnight. It takes time for roots to grow deep and for the plant to break through the soil. In the same way, the breakthroughs you're waiting for are growing beneath the surface. You might not see it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Even when life feels uncertain, you can rest in the assurance that God has already gone ahead of you. He's not just walking alongside you, He's paving the way for you. He's arranging the circumstances, opening the right doors, and clearing obstacles from your path. And because He's already there, you don't have to worry about the future. What you're concerned about, He's already taken care of. What you're unsure about, He's already made clear. When you fully embrace the truth that God has lined up the future, it brings a sense of peace and confidence. You don't have to strive, stress, or force things to happen. Instead, you can move forward with faith, knowing that everything you need will be provided at the right time. The promises He's placed in your heart, the dreams He's given you, they're not there by accident. They're part of His plan, and He's already made a way for them to come to pass. Trust that the same God who brought you through past challenges will guide you through whatever lies ahead. He's been faithful before, and He'll be faithful again. Whatever you're facing today, know that it's not the end of the story. The future is bright because it's already been prepared by the one who loves you and wants the best for you. The best is yet to come. This truth has the power to shift our perspective and fuel our hope. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, presenting unexpected challenges, and sometimes leaving us feeling stuck or uncertain about the future. But even in those moments, it's important to remember that God's plan for us is always moving forward. The setbacks, delays, and struggles we face are not the end of the story. They're simply chapters in a greater narrative, one that leads to something more beautiful, more purposeful, and more fulfilling than we can currently imagine. So, when we hold on to the belief that the best is yet to come, we open our hearts and minds to possibilities beyond what we see in front of us. It's easy to focus on what's lacking, what's broken, or what's holding us back. But focusing only on those things limits our vision. Faith reminds us that there is more waiting for us on the other side of our current circumstances. Just as the seasons change, our lives are always evolving, bringing us closer to new opportunities, new relationships, and new dreams fulfilled. Think about the stories of transformation and breakthroughs we hear throughout history. From humble beginnings to incredible accomplishments, the common thread is perseverance and the belief that there is more ahead. Whether it's an athlete overcoming injuries, an entrepreneur pushing through failures, or someone overcoming personal struggles, the best results come from holding on to the conviction that the future holds something greater. The greatest successes often follow periods of difficulty, proving that challenges are simply stepping stones to greater achievements. The best is yet to come because God doesn't limit us by our present circumstances. He sees the fullness of our potential, not just where we currently stand. In moments of despair, it's easy to lose sight of our true potential, thinking that where we are today is all we'll ever be. But that's not the case. Each experience, each trial, and each breakthrough builds us into someone stronger, wiser, and more equipped for the blessings ahead. God's vision for us surpasses our limitations, and He invites us to trust in that greater future. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that we aren't meant to stay where we are. Growth is a natural part of life. Seasons shift, doors open, and opportunities arise. If we cling too tightly to the present, we can miss the signs pointing towards something greater. Just like the caterpillar eventually becomes a butterfly, we are designed to transform into something new and beautiful. The process may be uncomfortable at times, but every challenge is a piece of the puzzle leading to a more fulfilling future. Imagine a painter carefully adding layer after layer to a masterpiece. At first glance, the painting may appear incomplete or rough, but as each stroke is added, a stunning picture emerges. Our lives are much like that canvas. The colors of joy, hardship, growth, and learning are all being blended together to create a beautiful masterpiece, a life full of meaning and purpose. The best moments are still ahead because God is continuously working, guiding, and shaping us into who we are destined to be. It's also important to recognize that the best is yet to come, because God's plan for us is not confined by our limitations. There are moments when we feel stuck, unsure of how to move forward. However, God's vision is expansive, filled with opportunities beyond what we can comprehend. Our job is to stay open to His leading and trust in His process. Even when things seem impossible, God specializes in the extraordinary. He works through our faith, guiding us toward the abundant life He has in store. Think about a seed buried in the ground. For a while, it appears as though nothing is happening. The seed remains hidden beneath the soil, unseen and seemingly dormant. Yet beneath the surface, growth is taking place. Roots are spreading, preparing for the transformation that will eventually bring forth new life. Our journey is much the same. Even in moments where progress feels slow or invisible, God is working behind the scenes, setting the stage for something remarkable. The best is yet to come, because our story isn't finished yet. Every setback, challenge, and difficulty is a setup for what's next. It may feel like we're stuck in the middle of a chapter, but just like in a book, every chapter eventually ends, leading to the next one. The future holds the culmination of our efforts, our faith, and God's perfect timing. It may not always align with our expectations, but it will always be filled with purpose and growth. Faith reminds us that the best is yet to come, even when the present feels uncertain. It encourages us to stay hopeful, to embrace the journey, and to trust that God has something greater ahead. When we shift our mindset from fear and doubt to trust and possibility, we create the space for miracles to unfold. The best moments of our lives are still to come, and with God leading the way, we can face the future with confidence, knowing that it holds something extraordinary. Lift your eyes and keep moving forward. This is a powerful reminder that no matter how difficult life may be, there is always a path ahead. Life has a way of presenting challenges that can weigh us down, making it tempting to look inward or backward instead of focusing on the future. But the key to growth, progress, and fulfillment is found in the act of lifting our eyes beyond the present struggle and taking one step forward, no matter how small. When we keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear, we create space for transformation. It's easy to get stuck in the past, holding on to regrets, mistakes, or missed opportunities, but those things no longer define us. They are lessons, not anchors. Looking back may provide insight, but it should never become a barrier to what lies ahead. Lifting your eyes means focusing on the possibilities, not the limitations. It's choosing to believe that no matter how heavy the load, the journey is worth it. Keeping forward momentum isn't about ignoring the challenges. It's about understanding that they are not the end of the story. Every setback, every failure, and every disappointment is part of the process. They don't define your destiny unless you let them. Lifting your eyes requires a mindset shift, a decision to view obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than barriers to success. When you adopt this perspective, you empower yourself to rise above difficulty and continue moving toward your goals. Think about the journey of a river. No matter how many obstacles stand in its path, rocks, branches, or other debris, the river continues to flow. It finds a way around obstacles, carving its path forward. In the same way, life presents obstacles that can feel insurmountable. But when we lift our eyes and keep moving forward, we find ways to navigate through the difficulties. The journey isn't always smooth, but the movement forward brings clarity and purpose. The act of lifting your eyes also brings fresh perspective. When we're deeply entrenched in a challenge, it's easy to feel trapped, seeing only the immediate circumstances. But when we lift our eyes, we gain a broader view of what's possible. We see beyond the momentary struggle and realize that the future holds endless opportunities. It's in those moments that new ideas, solutions, and possibilities begin to emerge, guiding us toward a path that aligns with our purpose. Sometimes we get discouraged when progress feels slow or when it seems like we're not moving forward at all. But lifting your eyes means recognizing that every step, no matter how small, is progress. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Staying focused on forward movement prevents stagnation and allows you to remain aligned with your goals. When you continue to move forward, even when progress feels slow, you build the momentum necessary to reach your destination. Another reason to keep moving forward is that life is constantly changing. What worked yesterday may not work today, and what feels difficult now could be a stepping stone to something greater. Lifting your eyes means embracing change and adapting along the way. Growth doesn't happen in a straight line. It happens through the twists, turns, and unexpected detours. Keeping forward momentum allows you to navigate these changes with grace and confidence. Faith plays a crucial role in keeping forward movement. There are moments when logic, reason, and external validation seem distant. In those times, faith is what propels us forward. It's trusting that the steps we take, even when they seem uncertain, are leading us to a purposeful future. Faith reminds us that we don't have to see the full path to keep moving forward. We just have to believe that each step matters, even if we can't yet see the destination. Lifting your eyes also involves letting go of what holds you back, whether it's fear, self-doubt, or the expectations of others. Many times we stay stagnant because we're afraid to take risks or because we're weighed down by past failures. But forward momentum requires courage. It requires stepping out into the unknown and trusting that you're not alone in the process. The support, guidance, and strength you need are already available as you keep moving forward. Lifting your eyes and keeping moving forward is a call to live with purpose and intention. It's recognizing that your journey is yours alone, and while the path may not always be clear, your willingness to keep going is what matters most. With each step, you grow stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. So no matter what challenges you face, remember that lifting your eyes is the key to embracing your future and continuing to move forward with faith and determination.